Good evening. Thanks for thanks for listening to Inspiring Up Risk Radio with LaShonda Millsap. I am so excited this evening, as you can tell, to have my guest on tonight. I have two wonderful guests, and they are going to inspire you to shoot for your hopes, dreams, and aspirations. The goal of the show is to encourage and inspire others to pursue their hopes, dreams, and aspirations. So I need to calm down just a little bit and bring it down. I have been wanting to have my guest on for a while. My first guest is Erica Raphael, and my other guest is Melvin Diggs. They are both entrepreneurs in the Raleigh area, Raleigh, North Carolina, and they are very successful in their different fields. Well, let's go right into the show. My first guest is Erica Raphael. She was born in Tacoma, Washington, and she moved back to New York when she was a young child. She grew up in the Bronx in Long Island, New York. She then, later on in life, met her wonderful husband, Howard, at Hampton, Virginia, or in Hampton, Virginia, in 1999. She has been married to Howard for 14 years. She has two wonderful children, Colin and Blake, two teenagers, and I just admire her for that. I have one teenager, and that is certainly something to admire. She moved to Raleigh in 2005, and they went on to start their first store in 2008, and they stepped out on faith. She listened to her husband. He said he wanted to put some money into a franchise, and so that's what she did. So they've gone from one store to three stores. Erica, are you there?
I'm here. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be on your show. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I think the world of you and your husband, and y'all are just such wonderful people, and I admire you for being such giving people and caring people, and then you're also successful in business, and you both are very humble, and I think that is very important whenever God blesses you or places you in a position where you can prosper, that you be humble. And so can you tell me a little bit more? I'm sure I missed some points in your introduction. Are there any points that I missed that you would like to share with our radio audience?
Well, first, let me say that you are so sweet, and you are very humble yourself. I think the world of you. And I love your son. Our boys played basketball for a couple years together, and I got to know him, and I just thought he was just the most humble, even though he has this phenomenal talent, and he's just so sweet and kind, and I love me some Cam. So. But thank you very much. I don't think you missed anything. I think, like you said, we started in 2008, and it's been, it's always been a big blessing. But with any blessings, you're going to have some hardships or some things that you have to deal with that maybe are not so pleasant. But, at the end of the day, it's like I said, we started when we were 30. Howard and I are both the same age. He's 10 days older than me, exactly. But we both started this when we were 32 years old. Yeah, 32 years old, which is, very young. And so the fact that we were young and not a lot of, people who look like us were starting their business like that.
Yeah.
So it was exciting. We were, I was very proud of my husband for having the idea, for working so hard, for us to be able to have that seed money. When he was 23, he purchased his first home, as opposed to going out, buying a flashy car or, doing a bunch of other things. He decided he was going to invest that money and buy his first home. And from that sale of that first home, we were able to have the seed money that we needed to start our first, to open our first franchise store at Tropical Smoothie Cafe, which is an awesome brand. It's growing every day. When we first started, and you tell me if I'm talking too much, because, I could go on and on and on.
You are just fine.
So when we first opened in 2008, which was right as the economy was just tanking, which was scary in itself. There were only about 350 stores nationwide for Tropical Smoothie Cafe. The majority of them were in Florida and in Virginia. So we were opening the very first one in Raleigh. There was one in Durham, which actually closed a month after we opened our first store. So that was scary also. I know. Talk about worried. So from there, we just, like I said, we went out on faith. We knew that it was an excellent brand. We knew that it was something that we were just going to have to really put our heads down and just work really, really hard for a couple of years, and that it would, the brand spoke for itself. The smoothies are delicious. The food is delicious. And as long as we did everything we were supposed to do, and it got better from there. So, I just thank God every day that we do have the opportunity and that we are still looking to grow and expand. We now have our flagship store in Raleigh on Oberlin Road. We have our second location in RTP, and we have a third location that we just opened last summer. There'll be a year next month. Actually, a year this month. We opened that store on Falls and News Road in Raleigh. And we're looking to open our fourth store, possibly fifth, before the end of 2019. So it's an exciting time. We are very, very excited, very happy.
Yes, and once y'all got started, y'all really got on a roll and started doing your thing. And I've been to one of the stores, and it is a very nice area with a wonderful environment. And so I just want to encourage people that live in Raleigh to get over there and visit Erica at her shop, and I guarantee you will enjoy what she is serving over there.
It's good food. I'm telling you, people, they don't realize. Everyone comes in and they say, oh, I didn't know you had food, which annoys me now because it's like we've been here 10 years. You have to know we have food. But it's okay. It's okay. That just means to me that there's new people coming in, and I love when new people come in because I have a chance to grab onto you and get a customer for life. So, and once you eat the food and you drink the smoothies, there's really no turning back.
Okay. Now, is there a particular sandwich or salad or something that is your favorite?
Oh, boy. Well, after, the brand has gone through lots of different changes as far as the menu's concerned. There's always been a couple staples. But I would have to say one of my favorite sandwiches right now, has been for the past couple of years, is a flatbread, actually, and it's called the Cali Chicken Club. And it has like a basil mayo sauce on it and tomatoes, chicken, bacon. Take the bacon off, all you bacon haters out there, and lettuce, tomato, and smashed avocado. And it's a delicious sandwich, and it's really, really filling. And we all, we like to promote a healthier way of eating. We don't propose to be the healthiest as far as, calories, if you're looking for lower calories or whatever, but all of our food is fresh. It's not fried. It's not processed. So it's a better eating choice for you as opposed to going to Bojangles or McDonald's or, one of those other places, fast food, Chick-fil-A places.
Okay. And so can you tell me about the award that y'all received? It wasn't not too long ago.
Oh, yes, that was very exciting. Well, so Tropical Smoothie Cafe, again, is still kind of a small brand. We're celebrating, 20 years last year. So it's still fairly new and fresh. And so each cafe, if you have sales over $1 million, when you get to that point, they put you in what's called the $1 Million Club. And so our store in Durham, the RTP store, which sometimes, depending on the week, depending on the days, it kind of goes back and forth. But that has been the number one store in North Carolina for a couple weeks in a row. So that store just kind of goes gangbusters. So we received our first $1 Million Club Award this past March at the Tropical Smoothie Cafe convention, and that was very exciting. It's very, very, very exciting.
Were you expecting that, or was it just like a surprise to you?
Well, we knew we were going to get that award. So because you know your numbers and you know what you're doing, so you know that you're going to get that award. But it's just the fact that we've been doing this for a while, and I've always told my husband, next time we're going to be up there, next time we're going to be up there. And so to actually finally get up there, it was really, really exciting for us. We were very happy about that.
Okay, okay. And so I think when I went to the store, I saw your beautiful, well, I don't know, she might have been a friend or something, but there was a little girl that sometimes comes to the games with you that seemed a little familiar. I said, no, she looks familiar. So you tend to also hire, people of different ages and of different variations too. So that is very important for business also, right?
It is. And that particular day, you're speaking of, that was my niece
Oh, okay,
Chloe.
yes.
Yes,
Yes.
we do
I
try to
almost
keep
called it.
our stores a family affair. So my
Mhm.
younger sister Angela, she runs our location out in RTP, and she's been with us for about 4 years now, helping us run the stores. And she does a phenomenal job. She really, really
Yes.
does. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what we did without her. And if she ever decides that she wants to up and leave, I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle it. But
Yes.
she's an awesome addition. And so Chloe was there. Chloe, my niece, is there. She's only 12, but she's
Mhm.
able to work there with us because we can assume any liabilities, I suppose, or whatever. But we had our whole family in there that day. That was the day that was one of the days when you feel like you don't want to own your own business because I had very specific plans. I had very
Mhm.
specific plans that day. As you know, I think it was Women's Empowerment that day. And
Yes.
everyone who knows me knows how much I love Michael Strahan. And being that
Yes.
we sponsor Women's Empowerment, we have sponsored it for the past 3 years, and we do it every year. I was going to be able to meet with him and talk with him and take pictures with him, and I was just so excited. But we had a couple of people who decided that they didn't want to come to work that day because it was a really nice
Mhm.
day outside, so they called out.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
no one really wants to work on a Saturday, so trying to get other people to come in was really hard, and we weren't able to. So at that point, it is what it is. This is my business, this is my livelihood, so I had to go in and step up and just take care of it.
Mhm.
But it's one of those things that kind of goes with owning your own business. At the end of the day, if no one else can do it, you have to do it. We're at a point now where we have general managers who can run the stores for us. My husband doesn't have to work in the store. He actually still has his corporate career that he's had for over 20 years. And I can go to the 3 different locations and just kind of oversee and make sure that everything is okay. And then kind of schedule myself, off. Like I was able to take a week off last week and really have no issues.
Okay. Okay. Well, and so I would consider that to be one of the challenges of being in your own business right now. Growing up, did you always know that you wanted to own your own business, or was it something that Howard helped you to discover?
Growing up, I wasn't necessarily wanting to own my own business. I knew that, but I guess in a way, yeah, because I realized very early that I didn't like taking a whole lot of direction. so, so I knew that working for other people was probably not going to be for me after a while. Before we started, I stayed at home with both of my boys. I was a stay-at-home mom, and to make ends meet and to help out, with household finances, I did watch other kids at home, and I did that for probably about 8 years. So even before we started the stores, I always kind of worked for myself. I kind of made my own schedule and hadn't worked for anyone in a long time. So, but growing up, to answer your question, growing up, I wanted to be in the fashion industry and interior design industry. That's what I really want to do. It's still my passion to this day.
Yes. Okay. And so that's very interesting. So you kind of honed in. You still kind of do something else that you enjoy, but this is your primary thing right now, right?
Yes.
Are you thinking about doing anything else besides the current business?
I think about it all the time, and I think that I've prayed about it, and so whenever God decides it's my time to do it, that's when I'm sure He'll let me know. I'm sure I'll know, and then that's what I will do. I already know what it is I want to do. It's just not the right time yet because we're still in a growing phase. My boys are still, they're not super young, they're teenagers, but this is an important time in their life. We have our oldest, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but in 2 years, he's going to be off to college. So, I want to make sure that he's deciding what it is that he wants to do with his life, and that we're there to, take him on school tours or do whatever it is that he needs us to do. I need to be present, and it's just not, I don't believe, the right time to start a brand new venture. But you know what? If it is, then like I said, I just rely on the Lord to give me any kind of sign or any kind of guidance as to that right now, because I've learned a long time ago not to buck against Him, just let it go. Just when it's time, it's time. So we'll see.
Okay. So as far as your challenges, would you also say that you felt a little nervous about initially investing that money, because you don't know how things are going to turn out when you're investing in the business?
You really don't know. And I know that before we went into this, my husband sat me down and said, okay, with the money from the sale of our first home, we can do A or B. And A was send me back to school because I had not finished completing getting my degree, or we can look into opening a business. And there were several options that we looked at. And for me, I felt as though it was more important to help my husband build something for us and for our boys. So that's why I decided that I could always go to school later on. But again, it was scary. It was scary because you're putting basically everything you have, into this one thing. And then because you don't have a track record with business, banks and, financial institutions, they're hesitant to lend you. And then they put all these, parameters on you. Then you have to put this up for collateral. And so it was really, really scary. At that point, it was scary from that perspective, but also from the perspective of I knew that we would be successful for two simple reasons. Well, a couple of reasons, but one, because my husband is a really very smart man. Don't you tell him I said that, LaShonda. But he is. He's a brilliant man, and I trusted him in that. I trusted the brand because I knew it was fresh, it was good, it was growing, and as long as we did what we were supposed to do, and most importantly, I trusted God. And, I had prayed about it, and everything presented itself in a way where I was being led to believe that this is what it was that we were supposed to be doing. So I had no qualms about it after that. And so it was scary, the money-wise, yes, but after a while, I didn't think, failure to me was never an option. So, and even if it did creep into my head for a minute or so, I just said, you know what? I just kind of tried to get rid of it and then just push forward. And here we are today. So, yeah.
Are you sometimes amazed that you're here? Like, wow, I have this wonderful business and it's thriving, and I know you definitely have to thank God. And I know in starting a business, sometimes working with your spouse, I'm sure sometimes it can be, a little challenging. Would you recommend that to people? I've seen some couples that kind of succeed at business, but sometimes it can be a little challenging, right?
It's for some people, yes. For some people, they can do it. Some people can't. In our case, I have found that it is challenging, only because, again, I don't like taking direction from people. And I mean, I can if it's, but when it's from your husband who wants to, when he thinks he's your boss or treats you like he's your boss, that can cause issues, because then at the end of the day, you're still married, you have to come home, and men are different. They've forgotten all about it. But me, I'm still upset. No, I still am mad at you, what you did 10 hours ago. So I don't really want to speak to you, and then that just trickles on into other things. So it can be very, very challenging. So I would say for anyone who's looking, and I remember I did tell a young lady this once who was looking to go into business with her very brand new husband. We had been married a couple of years and had kids before we had decided to do this. So, but this was her brand new husband, and she had asked me some advice. And it's the same thing I tell everyone is just know yourself, know your spouse, And I think what works best is when you both realize that you have strengths and you have weaknesses. Don't expect the other person to do something or to be good at something just because you're good at it. So, for instance, I'm not like I'm very analytical when it comes to things, but not with numbers and figures and percentages and other such things. My husband's really, really good at that. Me, I am more prone to making sure that customers are being taken care of, trying to give that excellent customer service, making sure that employees are feeling good about themselves, that they want to come to work, that they like to come to work, remembering birthdays and kids' names and, things of that nature. That's more my forte. So I think initially there was that disconnect that he expected me to be this, financial whiz that he is and do all these other things. And it just wasn't. That's just not me. That wasn't even my my background coming into the business. He had the retail management side. I had I was a bartender and a waiter in college, and always doing something customer service oriented, hospitality oriented. So that was more what I was bringing to the business. So I would just say, make sure you know what it is that you're good at, do what it is that you're good at, and vice versa. And as long as you both have that laid out at the very start and don't let little things arise into your marriage, then you should be fine. But if you know that you really can't do that, then I would probably not advise going into business with your spouse. Okay. Go into business, yes, but maybe not with your spouse.
Yes, and that is very understandable. And so as far as successful strategies that you use when you wake up in the morning, do you do like a devotional, or how is it that you get yourself going in the morning to prepare for a day, or when you're having a challenging day? What are some of the things that you do to keep yourself motivated?
I normally just, I wish I was one of those people that could wake up and just like at 4:30 and go to the gym and work out and just like clear my head and run. I hate running, and I like to sleep. So I don't do anything special in particular. I do make sure that I do get into a place of quiet though. So because we drive our boys in and out from school. So once I've dropped off whoever I need to drop off for the morning, I'll either sit in my car and I'll pray and reflect, or just, with my coffee, because I absolutely have to have my coffee. But I just make sure I have some sort of quiet time where, I'm not being disturbed by anybody. I'm just reflecting on what it is that needs to be done. I am a big list maker, so I've always found that when I make lists of what needs to be done for the day, I am very good at getting what it is I need to get done. So I'll just sit there while I'm having my quiet time, drinking my coffee. I'll make a list of what needs to be done, and I will go ahead and just, as the day goes by, I just check it off. And there's just a very gratifying feeling about checking that item off of the list, because you feel accomplished, like you got it done.
Okay. So it's important to have that list. It's important to do some self-care as far as meditation and praying before you start your day. So that's basically what you're saying, right?
Yep, that's exactly what I'm saying, yes.
Okay. And so as far as leaving a legacy for your children, I think that is something that is very important. Does that keep you motivated during your challenging days?
It does. And I also know that, again, I'm very blessed to be where I am, to have what we have, to accomplish what God has allowed us to have accomplished thus far, and there's more to do. I know moving forward, I really want to focus more on advocating for children, somehow using the brand and making people more aware of childhood hunger and other things. So we want to go ahead. I know we're going to start a campaign next year that I'm going to spearhead, working on that. So those things keep me motivated as well. But I do want to leave a legacy for my kids. I want to make sure that they know. I tell them every day how blessed they are. I'm one of those parents that gets really upset if they start sulking about the fact that they couldn't get something or do something, and I will go on a tangent about how this person may not be able to do this, and just making sure that they understand how very fortunate they are. I don't know if it always gets through to them, but I have to remember, when I was that age, a lot of things didn't get through to me that my parents said to me. But as I grew older, it did. There were a lot of things that kind of just clicked. So I'm hoping that just, I'm not just nagging, I'm actually speaking, and that they're absorbing, and that one day it'll just click and it'll all come together.
Okay. Well, we are coming to the end of our time, but I just wanted to share with the radio audience your social media information or the locations of your stores. If they need to get in contact with you, is it better to reach you through Facebook or email or on your business website? How can people get in contact with you?
Well, they can go to any of our 3 locations or really any of the 10 area locations. Yes, I'd love for you to come to my store that I own personally, but yes, I just want everyone to be introduced to the brand if you haven't already done so. So visit tropicalsmoothiecafe.com and put in for your nearest location, and everything will come up. And the website will take you to each individual store's social media website, Facebook, Instagram, so on.
Okay. And so your 3 stores are where?
On Oberlin Road, 1028 Oberlin Road in Raleigh, North Carolina. 5311 South Miami Boulevard in Durham, and 6679 Falls and Neuse Road in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being on Inspiring Uplift Radio with LaShonda Millsap. You have definitely inspired me and definitely some other folks to go out and pursue their hopes and dreams and aspiration. And thank you for being a blessing to me and my son and the former team that we played on, because you took care of us a few times. And thanks to Howard for doing the video and all that wonderful stuff. So you be blessed. Yeah, so you be blessed, and hopefully we will see you again soon. You have a good night. We'll go to break now. Bye-bye. We'll go to break now. Good evening, and welcome back to Inspiring Uplift Radio with LaShonda Millsap. We are having a wonderful show, and now we're going to talk to our next guest. His name is Melvin Diggs, and Melvin obtained his bachelor's degree in religious studies from Elon University. He earned his master's from North Carolina Central, and he also has his postmaster's in school administration from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. Melvin has had 17 years experience in education. He has worked in different capacities. He has been a special education teacher, a positive behavior coach, a special education program specialist, a literacy coordinator and coach. He has been my assistant principal and he has been a senior administrator for special education policy and legal department with Wake County Public Schools. and he has been a consultant also with North Carolina Department of Public Instructions, which is better known as DPI. He is the owner of Professional Education Solutions, and he just is a phenomenal, phenomenal man. And he is also an ordained minister. He's a man of God, and I'm sure I missed some other important details about him, but it is a privilege and an honor to have him on tonight's show. Melvin, are you there?
Hey, LaShonda, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am well. Thank you so very much for having me on your show this evening.
Oh, of course. You know, I am a big fan of yours, and I believe in what you're doing. I am so very proud of you. Is there anything that I left out in the introduction that you would like to share with the listening audience?
Sure. So, you pretty much hit the high points as far as career-wise, and I am an ordained minister as well, like you said. But I always have to give glory to God and also give a shout-out to my wife, Carol Deeds, and my 4 beautiful children, William, Trey, Janice, and Paul, and I think they're all listening in tonight. So certainly Daddy wants to give a shout-out to the motivation of my life.
Yes, and I am sorry, I forgot that you have a wonderful wife and you have 4 wonderful children, and sorry that I left that out. That is something that is very significant. So is there anything else that I've left out that is that you want to highlight?
Yeah, so I mean, really and truly, at the end of the day, and first of all, let me say something to you. Yet we used to work together, and I thank God for where He's brought you to and where He's brought you currently. And it's always wonderful to be reunited with people that have a heart for children, have a heart for people in general. And LaShonda, I just wanted to give you a shout out and say, wow, look where God has brought you from where we were several years ago, and then to be reunited again this evening. It's just certainly a blessing, and again, just a privilege to be with you this evening.
Yes. So, okay, let's get right into it. I know you went to Elon University, and I remember seeing in your office you took some pride in sporting your Elon University stuff, and so then you went on to get your master's degree, and you definitely are an advocate for children also. And so have you always been interested in being an educator? Have you always pictured yourself being an educator?
Right. So funny that you asked that. Really and truly, when I went to Elon, I had no idea what I wanted to do in life, but I knew I wanted to do something, and was fortunate enough to receive a football scholarship to attend Elon. And when we talk about personal challenges and things that you have to work through, so I reached a point while I was at Elon where I wasn't doing so well academic-wise, and I had to make a decision. And the decision that I made, and it's counterproductive to what we currently see and hear a lot of times now. I decided I actually gave Elon back their football scholarship to focus on school and try to figure out what I wanted to do in life. Because, like I said, my grades weren't that great at that time, and I'd also gotten hurt playing football and went to the doctor and had to make a decision about, do I go back on the football field or do I, where do I go, what do I do? And so made a decision again not to play football, and had to kind of search out how to fund the rest of my time at Elon. And so thank God, between going to financial aid and doing some other things, we found a way to continue to go for those next 2 years and keep a part-time job as well as being in school at the same time. And unfortunately, grades went up, and, we were able to graduate on time with everybody else. And so, that was just one personal challenge in going that way. But then when I got out of Elon, successful, had my degree, got out to the working world, and could not find a job, and really could not find a sustainable job for probably about 2 years. And so I had again another life decision to make. Well, what do I do? And so finally coming across an opportunity in Durham, got an interview to be a special education teacher in Durham. This name might be familiar to some of the people in the Durham area, but Mr. Emmett Tilley. He was a former principal and has have a lot of positions in Durham Public Schools over the last several years, and he retired and came back. He took a chance on me because I really didn't know what I was doing, but I was willing to work at it. And so that began my career in education. And so I worked as a special education teacher while deciding to, or while working on certification, and then actually being accepted into the master's program at North Carolina Central. And so when we talk about personal challenge, I didn't get paid as a teacher. I got paid as a substitute, and I had to hustle. So I was working as a substitute, working in the before-school program, working in the after-school program, and have a part-time job. So I had one full-time job and 2 or 3 part-time jobs while trying to gain certification. But what I find very interesting is if you want to do something and you're willing to work hard, it'll produce fruit for you later on. And certainly, like I said, it sparked my career in education as a teacher and then later on as an administrator. So there's been some challenges. There's been some hard times, but there's also been some rewarding times. Stretching myself out and working hard, trying to provide a life for my family, but also just see where God wants things to go with me. And he made a way every single time, just in the nick of time when things looked like it was no way possible, no way for things to happen. He stepped in every single time and made a way. He opened doors that I could not see. And so, I rejoice in knowing that he brings me in and can bring other people and overcome, even when we don't know exactly what to do or where to go.
Yes, absolutely. And that is definitely a testimony. Sometimes people don't see the challenges that others have gone through and come through in order to get where they are. They just feel like sometimes we have an easy road, but it's not until you actually talk to somebody that's when you hear their story and you realize that they have been met with some challenges. And sometimes those challenges will catapult us into where God would have us to be. So let's go into your business. You are the owner of Professional Education Solutions. Can you tell me a little about your business and your vision and all that good stuff?
Sure, absolutely. So, let me take one step back in talking about that. My business has gotten a new name this year because I've made a transition. I was in public education for 16 years, and when we're talking about making critical decisions in life and walking into decisions without having fear, when you're working in the public school systems and Department of Education or DPI, you're used to things being a certain way. Your check comes out at a certain time and things happening. And so, again, like your previous guest said, there came an area where I've had to step out on faith on some things. And so I had an opportunity to begin working for a private firm, but that has allowed me an opportunity to reorganize my business. I have done some consulting outside of North Carolina, but because I worked for the Department of Public Instruction, I couldn't, really do any work for clients inside the state of North Carolina. And so with me moving into a different area with a private firm, it's allowed me to reorganize my business and actually do business inside of North Carolina for clients for both schools and families, and really trying to work with the people who have students who have IEPs, special education services, and really try to be, I won't say a mediator, but be a consultant to both sides and provide professional development for both schools and for families, because at the end of the day, it's a joint effort when you're working with a student who has an IEP. And so many times, maybe some of your audience can relate to it, but So many times you walk into those meetings and it seems to be so adversarial because everybody wants what they believe is necessary, but at the end of the day, it really goes back to the kid. And so, professional education solutions piece really is that opportunity to provide professional development and consultation services to both schools and families. I have clients that are charter schools. I have clients that are, public school systems. I have clients that that are families and that are just trying to really navigate the special education arena and try to plan for students and their needs and make sure that they get the services and supports that they need. And so when I think in terms of what our base vision is, that's really what our base vision is. We don't want to be like one-sided and only serve schools or only serve families, because at the end of the day, it takes both of those sides and a kid that is willing to work on both sides at school and at home to be successful in school. And so that's what our base vision is, but our longer-term vision is to provide referral services and supports as well to families and to school systems. So, having over 17 years, I've had a lot of contacts and a lot of friends and a lot of educators that have helped me along the way, but also are wonderful in their fields, like school psychologists, school social workers, those types of people that are involved in different parts of the state as contacts. So if I have clients that need support, to refer them to those people that are able to provide services or provide contacts or resources or information to families and school systems to try to assist them with whatever their needs are. And so it's basically pulling a consortium of different roles within special education and student support services to help people do what they need to do for their child. So that's the larger, longer-term goal.
Okay. And I know myself, I have witnessed and worked with you in those meetings, and you can relate to all kinds of families, some families that are, disadvantaged in some ways. You can make things very simple with them. And that's what I really admire about you, is that you can break those things down and make them very simple. And so sometimes you meet professionals and they can't do that, but you are able to do that, and that is definitely a gift that you have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, I was going to say, again, I believe that is a calling that I have. It's a calling on my life. But at the same time, all of that, and again, I know that people in the audience can relate. All of that is predicated upon a willingness for all sides to participate and work together for that united goal for that child. And that's really, at the end of the day, we continue to try to, we work with people, we consult with schools and school systems, but the follow through and the implementation of what you pull together is so key and so pertinent for that that student or group of students or whatever. And so we really just try to work hard with both having a plan of action and then helping to the implementation of those things. So yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And so in doing that, you kind of always have pictured yourself kind of being in the education field, or did it just evolve and then you got into that? And I know you are also a ordained minister. Now, how long have you been ordained as a minister?
So, wow. So, did I picture myself in education? Not the whole time. Actually, my kids were the motivation for me walking into education. That goes into a long story, so I won't go there. But my own kids, especially my two oldest, were the motivation for me securing a position and a career in education and learning how to work with them and learning how to teach them. They were the motivating factor for that. As far as the ministry is concerned, so our church, Full Gospel of Christ Ministries Church, there in Durham, North Carolina, the way our ministry works as far as growing ministers, sometimes in different denominations, people are able to get license and ordination within a short period of time. Ours is a little bit different. I've been a licensed minister for about 5 or 6 years, but I only received ordination in March of this year because the way that our pastor and overseer, Kane Mitchell, believes is that, you put in the work to be an ordained minister, and you're working in different areas, and you're really trusting the Lord to lead you into your areas of ministry, and so you need to be able to declare what those things are. And so, like I said, I've been in, with Full Gospel. It's a very young church, but we've been in existence for about 20, 21 years now, and I've been a member all of that time. But as far as the ministry and actually, working in what people would call pastoral functions or ministerial functions, that's been the last 5 or 6 years. And so God's been so good to us and been so faithful to us. But we put in the work to be able to get ordination on our side. And so we're blessed to be able to receive ordination with actually my sister and 2 other of our sisters in the Lord in this past March. And so it's been a true blessing, but at the same time, it's brought another level of accountability and responsibility. And I thank God that our pastors had a vision to train ministers in that way, so that it wasn't, okay, well, I'm an ordained minister, I just do whatever I want. Well, yeah, you're an ordained minister, you can do whatever you want, but it better be led by God, so that you can success. And so, we help lead the men's ministry at our church. My wife and I help lead the marriage ministry at our church, and I've also been basically the head financial officer for the last 8 or 9 years. And so there's a lot of varying things that you have to do and make sure that things are compliant for the church and make sure that, the finances are in order and make decisions with that. And so it's just been a blessing to be able to serve in those different capacities and really push forward the vision that God has placed in Full Gospel.
Okay. And so being that you're a minister, but prior to you becoming a minister, I know that you've done a lot of public speaking and consulting. Do you think that all comes into play, that's a gift of yours too, or is it something that you have to kind of get used to? Because I know for me, the public speaking thing is interesting. So have you always been a public speaker? Have you always spoke very well before people, or is that something that you had to push yourself out of your comfort zone and go ahead and just do it?
Right, and so a lot of people don't. It's very interesting because as far as education and ministry is concerned, I'm passionate about those things, and so I find myself a lot of times being really when I find that that's the area of passion for me, it's easy for me to speak about stuff and talk about experiences and preach the word of God, but also lead meetings and consultation pieces for folks because I feel like in those areas I'm relatable. But a lot of the other things, I'm not a really talky type person. I'm really a person that's a real bottom line type of person. Let's cut the fluff and get to the bottom line about what we need to do. But in those particular areas, though, yeah, it's come more naturally for me. But I'm not a natural speaker or presenter of information. And anytime that you stand before, when we talk about ministry, anytime that you stand before the people of God, that brings not necessarily a pressure, but that brings a level of responsibility and accountability to bear, because you know that you are standing in the place to be used as a vessel by the Lord, and so you want to hear and do all the things necessary to make sure that you are taking the time to hear what the Lord has to say and be able to get a clear word and a clear rhema word for His people. And so those two areas I'm passionate in, so that's not hard for me. But other places and a lot of other things, you won't hear me say a whole lot. And that's that. And in some of those areas, I've had to push myself to be a little bit more vocal sometimes. So that's kind of how I see it. It's just those areas where I'm passionate. And I believe that I have something to give on the table. I don't mind speaking up, and I think part of that it comes from the advocacy of working with kids, working with families, working in ministry, because sometimes you have to be that mouthpiece for people that can't speak up on their own. They don't know what the terms of policy and some other things are, and so that passion for those types of things really gets me motivated to talk to people and try to work with people.
And I know one thing about you, you definitely are a data-driven educator, and you like to look at those numbers, and you are definitely capable of doing that. You look at the cause and the effect and the numbers. That is very, very important, And so can you tell me a little bit about the data and supporting certain things and all that?
Yes, one of the biggest and most controversial, in my opinion, most controversial parts about education, and it goes further than education, but specifically to education and special education, is what do we know about kids? What do we not know about kids? And how does that impact what we do and how we serve students? And I've gone to so many different meetings where we're making assumptions about kids based on anecdotal thoughts and experiences with kids, but we really don't drill down to see what do they know, what do they not know, why do they not know it, how do we instruct them and move them forward in learning the different disciplines, whether it's math, language arts, or even behavior and social skills. All of those things are important, and so when you come to the table and there's a lack of data to talk about, where a student currently is, where they've progressed from, where they need to what's appropriate for them, grade level wise or otherwise. I don't see the effectiveness of how we can really plan for a student without having that data. Data's not everything, but it's robust, and it should be a large part of what we talk about. We also need to pay attention to the learner and listen to what they're saying they need if they're able to express it. And so, when we talk about data, we're talking about anecdotal data, we're talking about the real numbers, we're talking about progress monitoring, we're talking about, our intervention and instruction pieces that we're providing for students, and taking that as a whole, and it builds a story over time about a child. And it also points out sometimes that's good data, and then sometimes it's instructive or constructive data, because it also reflects back on maybe some areas of instruction where we haven't done a good job with the child, and we need to revise things and review things to make sure that the student gets exactly what they need. And so I'm definitely a data-driven type person. Is working within the Department of Public Instruction at the core of the consultant job that I had there. We analyzed that information. We looked at that information when parents had concerns, or even when schools had concerns about what data was saying and what things needed to happen for students. And so that's always been at the core of what I've tried to look at all levels, from a teacher up to Department of Public Instruction, about data-driven instruction and why it matters and why it continues to matter. And with the different policies that have been put into place, the state of North Carolina has revised some of their policies this past year. We've got some federal court cases that in the last 4 or 5 years that have held data as a premium around how they've ruled on some different cases where parents have brought complaints to a school district or a state. A lot of what they look at is, did they have sufficient data to make the decisions that they did? And data has saved some people, and data has been the death of some people. So it's definitely a piece that we always parents should be, and teachers should be willing to bring to the table and talk about with students.
Okay. And so the theme of that also, because we have a couple of minutes left,
okay.
accountability as a professional is very important. Do you think mentorship is important also?
Absolutely. I would not be anywhere near the career that I have experienced and be an owner in this consultation piece if it had not been for the mentorship of several different people along the way. There was at each level that I would work in, whether it's a special education teacher or program specialist, there are several people that in those discrete areas who have mentored me and talked to me and showed me not necessarily the ropes, but showed me, what were critical things that are required not only for those jobs, but also thinking about how do I build my own brand? What's important? What's critical? What are the things that kind of stand out that relate to all situations within special education when working with families in schools and school systems. And so I've been blessed to have the Lord has sent somebody my way every single time, no matter what. And they have helped me along the way, and I wouldn't be where I am without those people taking the time out to mentor me and talk to me and help develop my own ideas about what you can do when you bring parties together to talk about planning for students. It's so important, and even I'll take it one step further. Even in ministry, it's the same type of thing. I have to take my hats off to my pastor and overseer, Jane Mitchell. She mentored us tremendously through ministry and having the integrity of ministry. Being a person of your word and being a representative of God and making sure that you're doing what you need to do that way, and being organized and handling business, not because the expectation is for the people, but because you're to do your work as unto the Lord. And so, but mentorship is so important. And so when I think about that, I also, when there are opportunities for me to give back or to share back with people, whether it's new teachers or ministers or people thinking about going into ministry or whatever the case is, really being able to share experiences with them and meet up with them and link up with them and provide just that sounding board or that ear just to hear the difficulties, talk through things, pray with, do things. And so mentorship is 100% important.
Okay. So quickly, we're about to end our show. We have about a minute left.
Okay.
Can you tell us how to get in contact with you as far as with your business?
Absolutely. So we're currently working on our website now, so hopefully it will be up by September. But in the meanwhile, if you need to get in touch with me, our number is 919-519-4549. And then also our email address is pro, like professional, ed, like education, solutions, LLC, @gmail.com. And if you hit us up by email, that's the fastest way we usually get back in touch with you in less than 24 hours and talk to you about whatever your situations are and begin to work with that process. But again, that phone number and that email address, that's the quickest way to get in touch with us.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being on the show and inspiring others to pursue their hopes, dreams, and aspirations. You have been a blessing, and I wish you success and bless you, send blessings your way in everything that you're pursuing, because you have definitely been a blessing to me. So next week, catch me at 7 p.m. on Inspire and Uplift Radio with LaShonda Millsap. You have a good evening.
All right, you too. Thank you so much, LaShonda.
Uh-huh.